Sean Salisbury, morning host of the Sean Salisbury Show on Sportstalk 790 in Houston, the former NFL quarterback, kind enough to join us. All right, Sean, should they consider trading him?
Yeah, well, first off, Dan, I got a voice like Fergie and Jesus. Okay, let's and I don't have a flannel shirt on. It's good to be on. I think they should, Dan. Here's what I think fan bases and people need to get over is that loyalty thing, right? Oh my gosh, we can't let the guy who is fabulous in the community, 3-time defensive player of the year. But then you start to say, because I can promise you in Houston, considering what Bill O'Brien left the franchise assets wise and the way they're paying them and they're 1-6, because they are who they are. JJ's never winning a Super Bowl here. And he's 31. And with the injury background, now he is still a hell of a player. The problem is every year that goes by, the value starts to diminish. So if you're a team like, let's say, Pittsburgh, Seattle went and got Dunlap, or the 49ers without Bose, and you say, we're close, we're a player or two away, and especially in a league that doesn't play much defense, J.J. Watt can help. So what do you get? You're desperate. Maybe you give up a second rounder. You're never going to get a first. But, Dan, next year it's going to be a fourth rounder or a fifth rounder. We just don't give assets away. So I would. The Texans are going to have to rebuild. They're going to get rid of a lot of these guys in the offseason. They're trying to find a general manager and a coach. I would do it as hard as it is for people to say, oh, my gosh, JJ, you can't do that. When JJ retires and goes into the Hall of Fame, he'll come back a Texan, right? You can and you should. This team has no assets, no draft picks in the first couple rounds. It's time, and JJ Watt, outside of Deshaun Watson and Tunsil, you're not trading, is your biggest value, or maybe Will Fuller. It has to happen, but I don't think it's going to, Dan.
Why?
Because they're afraid to death of the owner, first of all, is not heavily involved. I don't think Jack Easterby really wants to be involved. And by the time the deadline is going to pass, by the time a general manager and head coach are, and I think they're so PR conscious about it and their loyalty that I think the PR hit for them, they think would be too big. The truth of the matter is, if they want to do the right thing, most fans in this town, once they got over the initial shock, would say it's about time. And if you could milk a second rounder, I don't think they have to. And Dan, there may be some buzz nationally, but there is minimal, if no buzz here locally. I've tried to create some. It ain't working very good, I promise you.
Yeah, I just look at this and say, we're not going anywhere.
Agreed.
What if JJ quietly, privately said, look, if you want to trade me, you don't have fans in the stands, Sean, so the hit you're going to take is not going to be seen. It's not a visual. They're not showing up for football games here. Maybe the local ratings might not be great, but if I'm the Texans, I got to start thinking the next 5 years, not next week or the next year. And I think Will Fuller, if Green Bay is willing to give you anything for him, thank you, Will. Some nice parting gifts. Absolutely.
Dan, I'm 100% with you. 100%, because you look at this, you got to, everybody begs for a franchise quarterback, right? You got him, but you're going to waste him.
Yeah.
Because no matter, and he's one of the top, he's putting up yards and average yards per attempt. Look what it's getting them. They beat Jacksonville. Now look at the other side, even with J.J. Watt out there. As Bill Belichick always says, I can take your best player away on defense. So what are they doing? You double him. They couldn't stop me, you, or Katy High School on a Friday night from running the ball against them. So if that's the case, let's start to get assets and rebuild and learn now. You got a franchise quarterback, and I'm with you. Will Fuller's going to ask for a lot of money next year, Dan. And they're already so invested money-wise at the wide receiver position, and they're 1-6. I can find rookies to go 1-6. He's going to want what, 15, 16, 17 million dollars? No, go get an asset, trade him for a second or a third round pick, and keep it moving, son. We got to move on. And if you want to build a franchise, there's no reason to wait, because this team, I can't even visualize where they're going in the next 3 or 4 years with no assets. I know one thing. I got a left tackle and a quarterback. That ain't doing me any good. I can win one game with me at quarterback.
But I also wonder if I'm Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator with the Chiefs, he's going to have an opportunity to take his pick probably. Let's say the Jets are open. I don't know if Jacksonville is going to be open. Atlanta's open. The Texans is open. That situation's open. If I'm Eric Bieniemy, you start to look at the inventory you have here with what's the future, what's my salary cap, what kind of draft picks, who do I have? I don't know if Eric Bieniemy goes, boy, Texans, that's the place I want to go.
Yeah, and then you start to look at Atlanta too, right, Dan? I mean, that's a situation. You're exactly right. The one thing that drives you to the Texans is the number 4, right? You say number 4, then you say, well, the front office, how committed are they? What's the general manager? What's his longevity here?
But if
how
I
much
go
power
to
will
the
he?
Jets or Jacksonville, I may have Trevor Lawrence, and I'd rather have Trevor Lawrence than Deshaun Watson.
Dan, I posed a question yesterday on my show. Would you trade Trevor Lawrence straight up for Deshaun Watson? The Jets wouldn't. The Texans should, right? But it's not going to happen. That's a foregone conclusion. So, yeah, if I'm Eric Bieniemy, while it seems like, well, the best quarterback of all the guys you named is Deshaun Watson. But if you go to the Jets, it's a team. There's no expectations right off the bat. You go get Trevor Lawrence, and maybe Trevor Lawrence makes that a free agent destination as well. And you have far more assets. And he's a generational type player. Watson may be as well, but I'm with you. I don't think it's the lead dog anymore, considering the situation here. Although Bieniemy's going to get a job, I'm not sure that Houston will be the first one on the list now.
He's Sean Salisbury. You can hear him on Sportstalk 790 in Houston, the Sean Salisbury Show. While we're talking about trading iconic figures here, would the Rockets consider trading James Harden? I don't think they could trade Russell Westbrook, but would they consider trading James Harden?
Been a huge topic now with Steven Silas named the head coach, Dan, on my show this morning, of why not? If you're going to go and just get there, right? Because they're not winning an NBA title with the roster, how it's constructed and the small ball, and they don't have. Think about the lack of draft picks. The Astros with the problems with the sign stealing. The Rockets, who've gotten rid of all, they don't have any assets coming in, and the Texans. Dan, we ain't got a draft pick till 2040. Okay, grandkids are going to be playing by then, so they won't. Dan, he's got more power. I think James loves being powerful. And he is powerful in this organization. And once he walks out the door, what assets are you going to get for him that are going to help you win, to get to a championship? Because he goes out, his value is not going to get 4 first-round picks. Where are they going to be picked? Is it the Knicks? Who's he going to? And they love him here. And you say, well, are you going to get an offensive player? Would nobody trade? It's like quarterbacks. Rarely do you trade a superstar that can score for you. And whether it's teams coming here or James going out, he's not going anywhere right now either, even with Daryl Morey out of the building and on his way to Philly and a new head coach coming in. And they're going to build it around James Harden. They're going to win 50 games. They're going to get to the playoffs, and they're going to be eliminated. I would consider it. If you're going to rebuild, let's go now. But with that salary and with the love of this city and his offensive performance, James Harden is not going anywhere, although that's another one that they should consider.
Great to talk to you as always, Sean. You got a couple of topics there to dive into on your show, certainly.
Yep, absolutely. Why are you smirking? I got a lot of topics.
I'm not smirking.
I am. I am going to dive into all of them, but thank you. It's great to be on your show.
Now I'm smirking.
Always appreciate it.
Now I'm smirking.
Yes, you are. There you go. I appreciate it, Dan. Thanks,
Thank
brother.
you, buddy. That's Sean Salisbury, morning host of the Sean Salisbury Show on Sports Talk 790. Houston, former NFL quarterback.